Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are opening the curtain on the legacy of a founding father who rewrote not only the Constitution, but also Broadway as we know it. His name was Alexander Hamilton. In this episode, we're setting the stage to rise up and explore how Hamilton changed the landscape of Broadway, blending historical narrative with modern-day music styles. Hamilton is a biographical musical with music, lyrics, and a book by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Based on the 2004 biography Alexander Hamilton by Ron Chernow, the musical covers not only the life of American founding father Alexander and his involvement in the American Revolution, but also showcases the early political history of the United States. But first, let's start with the basics. Well, who is Alexander Hamilton, right? I mean, the guy's face is on the $10 bill, but what made him such an important figure in American history? And how did Mr. Lin-Manuel Miranda bring his incredible story to life on a Broadway stage? Well, the production, composed over a 7-year period from 2008 to 2015, uses music that not only draws heavily from hip-hop, R&B, pop, and soul, but also casts non-white actors as the founding fathers of the United States and other historical figures. To sum it up, it's basically America then, as told by America now. While on vacation in 2004, Lin-Manuel Miranda read a copy of the biography Alexander Hamilton. After finishing the first few chapters, he began to envision the life of Hamilton as a musical, and researched whether a stage musical of Hamilton's life had ever been created. What he found was that a play of Hamilton's story had been done on Broadway in 1917, starring Academy Award-winning British playwright and filmmaker George Arliss as Alexander Hamilton. Now, the show basically followed the attempts of Hamilton to establish a new financial structure for the United States following the Confederation period and the establishment of a new constitution in 1787. The difference between the Hamilton then versus the Hamilton now is very simple. George Arliss knew nothing of American politics and did not even know at first that Thomas Jefferson was even president of the United States. What he did know and helped contribute to the play were invaluable suggestions on what to include in it, even if his partner, Mary P. Hamlin, would later be credited as the actual writer of the production. Well, in order for Miranda to rediscover Hamilton, he wanted to create what would later be known as the Hamilton mixtape, heavily researching both the story and lyrics to recount the actual events of Hamilton's life. Now, many of the songs included in the show contain lines lifted directly from primary source documents, including personal letters and other documents such as the Federalist Papers and the infamous Reynolds pamphlet. Now, the Federalist Papers are a collection of 85 articles and essays written by Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay under the collective pseudonym Publius, to help promote the ratification of the Constitution of the United States. And then we come to the Reynolds pamphlet, the first major sex scandal in the political history of the United States. So, to put it lightheartedly, it was an unintended consequence of a powerful man's indiscretion. For you see, it involved Secretary of the Treasury Alexander Hamilton and his mistress Maria Reynolds. And the outcome, well, let's just say, after Maria's husband found out, he blackmailed Hamilton, resulting in Hamilton paying Reynolds over $1,300 in hush money, which today would be about $43,000 in today's value. That is until Hamilton publicly admitted to the affair after his political enemies accused him of financial corruption. Now, you see, back in those times, the common practice was for the wronged husband to seek retribution in a pistol duel. But Reynolds, realizing how much Hamilton would have to lose if the activity came into public view, insisted on monetary compensation instead. Well, it seems that Hamilton was saved in this duel, but as we know, karma would play a different role later in his life, when another duel would change the outcome forever. Now, in July of 2013, Miranda took his Hamilton mixtape and performed it in a workshop production at New York Stage and Film's Powerhouse Theater. The workshop consisted of the entire first act of the show and 3 songs from the second act. It was clearly evident that the production had potential, so in 2014, a second workshop production was held at the 52nd Street Project, which is an organization that brings inner city children together with professional theater artists. It was here that the production was ready for an audience. But where? Well, in February of 2015, that venue would be Off Broadway's Public Theater, where the production would ask audiences who lives, who dies, who tells your story. Well, the production would ultimately open to universal acclaim, with New York gossip columnist Michael Rydell stating that the producer Jeffrey Steller wanted to take the show to Broadway before the end of the 2014-2015 season in order to both capitalize on public interest in the show and qualify for eligibility for that year's Tony Awards. However, he was overruled by Miranda, stating that he wanted more time to work on the show. Now, changes made between Off-Broadway and Broadway included the cutting of several numbers, a rewrite of Hamilton's final moments before his death, and a cutting down of the song One Last Ride, which is now entitled One Last Time, to focus simply on Washington's decision not to run for a third term as president. Marilyn Stasio, in her review of the off-Broadway production of the show for Variety, wrote, "The music is exhilarating, but the lyrics, they're a big surprise. The sense, as well as the sound of the song dialogue, has been purposely suited to each character. George Washington, a stately figure in Jackson's dignified performance, sings in polished prose. In the end, Miranda's impassioned narrative of one man's story becomes the collective narrative of a nation built by immigrants who occasionally needed to be reminded where they came from." This is where Hamilton would forever etch its name into American musicals, because in August of 2015, the green light was given, and Hamilton opened its doors to Broadway audiences at the Richard Rodgers Theater, the exact same theater where Miranda first debuted in the Heights back in 2008. Well, Lady Luck struck gold when the production not only became critically acclaimed, but also when Hamilton secured and won 11 Tony Awards. The Broadway cast starred original creator himself, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Tony-winning actor and singer-songwriter Leslie Odom Jr., two-time Grammy-winning actress Philippa Soh, Tony-winning actress Renee Goldsberry, Tony nominee Christopher Jackson, actor, rapper, and vocalist of the experimental hip-hop group Clipping, Mr. Daveed Diggs, Golden Globe nominated actor and will soon be playing the Hood in the upcoming Marvel superhero series Ironheart, Mr. Anthony Ramos. Tony-winning actor and one of the best portrayals of King George III, Mr. Jonathan Groff, and British stage actress Jasmine Jones. Reviewing the Broadway production in the New York Times, Ben Brantley wrote, "I am loath to tell people to actually mortgage their houses and lose their children to acquire tickets to a Broadway show. But Hamilton, directed by Thomas Kail and starring Mr. Miranda, might just be worth it. Washington, Jefferson, Madison, they're all here, making war and writing constitutions and debating points of economic structure. So are Aaron Burr and the Marquis Lafayette. They wear the clothes you might expect them to wear in a traditional costume drama, and the big stage they inhabit has been done up to suggest a period-appropriate tavern, where incendiary youth might gather to drink, brawl, and, well, plot revolution." In December 2017, Cameron Mackintosh produced a London production that helped reopen the Victoria Palace Theatre. The West End cast starred Olivier Award nominee Jamal Westman, actor, musician, and filmmaker Giles Terrera, Filipino singer and actress Rochelle Ann Go, British musical theater actress Rochelle John, Olivier Award-winning actor and choreographer Mr. Jason Pennycook, South African-born actor and Olivier nominee Clave September, West End's Olivier Award-winning actor and jolly good King George III, Mr. Michael Gibson, as well as Filipina-British actress Christine Alado. By late March of 2021, Australia's Sydney Lyric wasn't throwing away its shot at hosting the musical, but not before the production was forced to suspend performances due to Sydney's second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in June of that same year. Now, wait for it. As in Hamilton, King George proclaims, "You'll be back, time will tell. You'll remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall. We have seen each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Da 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 da." And I'm sure you remember the rest. Well, in March of 2022, guess what? Hamilton re-emerged, this time with a fully armed battalion at her side, opening at Her Majesty's Theatre in Melbourne. The Melbourne production received overwhelming positive reviews, with Jason Arrow's performance praised, with The Age saying that Arrow wipes the floor with Miranda's performance in the Disney Plus version. I mean, what can I say? King George fought the fight and won the war. In the Broadway production, Hamilton, like some other Broadway musicals, offered a ticket lottery before every show. Now, initially, 21 front row seats and occasional standing room tickets were offered in each lottery. Before each daily drawing, the stage doors would swing open and Hamilton creator Lin-Manuel Miranda would host with the cast outdoor mini performances, allowing lottery participants to experience a part of the show even if they didn't win tickets. Now, these were then dubbed as the Ham for Ham shows, because lottery winners were given the opportunity to purchase 2 tickets at the reduced price of 1 Hamilton each. Yes, for those who may not be familiar with that, that would be for $10 each. As a result of the Ham for Ham shows, Hamilton's lottery drew unusually large crowds of people. So, to avoid increasingly dangerous crowding and traffic conditions, an online ticket lottery began operating in January of 2016. On the first day of the online lottery, more than 50,000 people entered, crashing the website. So, I'd say that calls for my unique fact number 1. The street where it happened. The pro-immigration message of Hamilton is at the forefront, as the show revolves around the life of one of the founding fathers of the United States, Alexander Hamilton, and how he made his mark in American politics as an immigrant. Now, instead of being characterized as a white person, Alexander Hamilton's immigrant status is referenced throughout the show, along with the virtue and prowess of Hamilton, by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter, described in the show's opening and later stating, "Immigrants, we get the job done." So, the casting of Black, Latino, and Asian Americans allowed audiences to literally view America as a nation of immigrants and illustrate the complex racial history and identity of America. For this, I'd say it's fact number 2. History had happened in Manhattan, and we just happened to be in the greatest city in the world. KQED, a nonprofit public media outlet in San Francisco, wrote of a growing number of intrepid U.S. history teachers who were and still are harnessing the Hamilton phenomenon to inspire their students. The cabinet rap battles provide a way to engage students with topics that have traditionally been considered uninteresting. Hamilton is especially galvanizing for the student who believes that stories about 18th century America are distant and irrelevant, as it shows the founding fathers were real humans with real feeling and real flaws, rather than bloodless two-dimensional cutouts who devoted their lives to abstract principles. A high school teacher from the Bronx noted his students were singing these songs the way they might sing the latest release from Drake or Adele. In response to this, Hamilton's producers made a pledge to allow 20,000 New York City public high school students from low-income families to get subsidized tickets to see Hamilton on Broadway by reducing their tickets to $70 for students. And the Rockefeller Foundation provided $1.5 million to further lower ticket prices to $10 per student. Through a private grant, over the course of the 2017 school year, nearly 20,000 Chicago public school students got to see a special performance of the show. And some got to perform original songs on stage with the cast prior to the show. The website Educational World wrote that Hamilton is being praised for its revitalization of interest in civic education. To that, I say, fun fact number 3. History had its eyes on them. Which leads me to this. In July of 2020, Disney Plus released a filmed version of the production, including several 2016 stage performances with the original principal cast at the Richard Rodgers Theater. The film was released in lieu of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the film industry and the performing arts, which shut down Broadway, West End, and touring productions. Acclaimed by critics for its visuals, performances, and direction, it became one of the most streamed films of 2020. This makes my fun fact number 4. The pandemic musical that blew us all away. And finally, on February 10th of 2017, Miranda speculated that a film adaptation of Hamilton would eventually be made, but not for years, so that people would have ample time to see the stage version first. Miranda stated, "I don't have a lot of movie musicals based on shows, because it's hard to stick the landing. I don't know what a cinematic version of Hamilton looks like. If I had, I'd have written it as a movie." Now, Miranda feels that the property should wait at least 10 more years, given the success of the live recording, but did say, "Hey, if someone's got an idea, holla at me." With that, I say, fun fact number 5. Who lives? Who dies? Who tells your story? All right, Ham Fam, that's a wrap for this episode. We've only scratched the surface of this epic production, and we can't wait for you to experience this show for yourself. So don't throw away your shot. Hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment, and tell us what's your favorite song or moment from the show. And remember, history has its eyes on you. Listen, discuss, repeat.